My sister texted at 11 p.m. We're using your apartment for 2 weeks. Mom has the key. I didn't argue. I changed the locks. Imagine getting a text late at night from your own sister that makes your blood run cold. She tells you she's dropping her 4 kids at your place for 2 weeks. No warning, no discussion, because her husband surprised her with a trip to Bora Bora. And when you protest, her chilling response, Mom has your spare key. She's letting us in. That's when something inside me snapped. So yeah, my name's Mark. I'm 34, and for a living, I fly people around the world. On paper, I'm the family success story. First to finish college, commercial pilot by 27, steady job with a major airline, nice apartment in a city my parents still call too expensive. I spend half my life in the sky, and the other half trying to catch up on sleep. But in my family, all of that just meant one thing. You're the one with money. Not we're proud of you, not you worked hard, just Mark can afford it. It was a constant, unspoken burden. My sister, Hannah, is 31, with 4 kids under 10 and a husband who dabbles in crypto. Her real talent? Making every single one of her problems feel like my responsibility. And then there's my mom, Linda, the kind of woman who lives for those selfless mother Facebook posts. My dad, he mostly just hides behind his newspaper, letting Mom speak for them both. My schedule is insane, rotating shifts, red ice, time zones that make my brain feel like scrambled eggs. So I don't see them often. But about once a month, if I'm even in town, I drag myself out to the suburbs for dinner. That night, the one where it all started to unravel, I'd just gotten off a brutal 4-day trip. New York to London, London to Rome, Rome back to JFK, then down to Miami. Delays, turbulence, a screaming drunk in row 18. I'd slept maybe 6 hours in 2 days. But Mom texted, family dinner. Everyone's coming. Don't disappoint your nieces. So I went. I walked into the house and bam, hit by the usual wall of noise. Cartoon channel blaring. Kids running in socks on hardwood floors. My mom, from the kitchen, without even turning, calls out, Mark, you're late. I just landed, Mom, I said, dropping my overnight bag by the door. Literally, I came straight from the airport. Hannah, scrolling TikTok, barely looked up. Must be nice, she drawled, flying around the world while the rest of us have real lives. I just took a deep breath, too tired to even argue. Then Mom turned, wiping her hands on a dish towel. We were just talking about the van, she said. Hannah's is dying. The mechanic said it's dangerous to drive with the kids. We figured you could help. Just like that. No, hello. No, how was your flight? Straight to the ask. Hannah added, with a dramatic eye roll. Yeah, because apparently Luke and I are supposed to conjure 10 grand out of thin air. And you? You're single. No kids. You got that pilot money. I looked at my dad. He just stared at the game, playing quietly on the TV, silent. I just paid off my own car, I protested. And my student loans. I'm still catching up. Mom gave me that tight smile she uses right before she says something designed to sting for months. Oh, please, Mark. You make more in a month than your father ever did at your age. Family helps family. You don't want your nieces riding around in a death trap, do you? That last sentence hit me like a brick. Family helps family, she said, meaning you help us. I sat down, the familiar knot of guilt and anger already twisting in my gut. I didn't know it then, but that was the first little crack in everything. Hannah wasn't always this way. When we were younger, she was the family princess, not in a bratty way, just protected. I, however, was the one mowing lawns at 14, bagging groceries at 16, saving every dime for flight school. My parents made it crystal clear. You want to fly planes? Then you better figure out how to get off the ground on your own. So I did. I worked every spare hour, studied, took out loans that still make my head spin, and spent years bouncing between crappy apartments and crash pads with 3 other pilots just to make it through training. Hannah? She bounced between majors, boyfriends, gap years. Then she got pregnant at 23. My parents panicked for about a week. Then Mom decided, babies are blessings. We'll figure it out. By we, she meant me. It started small. Hannah would call me, crying because her rent was past due and baby formula was expensive. Just this once, Mark, I swear. I'd wire $600 I didn't really have. Then it was the power bill. then the security deposit for a bigger place, then emergency dental work for a toddler. Every time, a reason. Every time, Mom would call right after. You know they're struggling, she'd say. You don't understand how hard it is with kids. You're lucky you get to travel. Lucky. That word always tasted bitter on my tongue. By the time Hannah had her third kid, I'd lost count of how many times I'd stepped in. I paid off one of their credit cards after she ugly cried on the phone about late fees. I co-signed a loan for their minivan. I even used my employee benefits to book them cheap flights to Disney for the kids' memories, even though I hadn't taken a real vacation in years. Anytime I tried to set a boundary, it turned into a family inquisition on my character. One Christmas, I said no to an iPad from Santa. Hannah's face crumpled. You're really going to make me tell my kids Santa couldn't afford it? Mom jumped in. Mark, stop being dramatic. It's just money. You can't take it with you. My dad just cleared his throat like he wanted to speak, then went back to his ham. I wasn't a son anymore. I was a walking ATM with a pilot's license. Everyone thinks flying is glamorous. Layovers are sightseeing and cocktails. The reality? Dragging a wheeled suitcase through airports at 4 a.m., eating sad takeout alone in hotel rooms, waking up not knowing what country you're in. My days off, I was utterly exhausted. All I craved was quiet sleep. Instead, my phone buzzed incessantly. Uncle Mark, can you watch the kids Saturday? So Luke and I can have date night? Hey bro, any hotel points you're not using? There's this resort. Can you cover the difference on this car seat? The safe ones are so expensive. If I didn't reply fast enough, the family group chat would blow up. Wow, must be nice to ignore your family. Mom would chime in, we never ask for anything unless we really need it. That was a lie. They asked constantly, and they never saw it. I remember sitting in a layover hotel in Chicago, staring at my banking app. I just transferred $1,200 for school uniforms and fees. My savings account was pathetic for how much I worked. I did the math. Over 5 years, I'd given them enough to buy that van twice over. Enough to put a down payment on a small house. Enough for me to take a vacation that wasn't just sleeping in a different bed between flights. Instead, I had Hannah's text from the week before. Honestly, you should be grateful. We give your life meaning. Without us, you'd just be some lonely guy in a cockpit. I didn't respond to that one. The resentment grew, slow and steady, like a perpetually delayed flight. The final straw came on a Tuesday night. I was finally home after another brutal string of back-to-back flights. Showered, eaten cheap takeout on my couch, half asleep with some random documentary playing. My phone buzzed at 11:02 p.m. It was Hannah. Her text. Your apartment is closer to the airport. Dropping off the kids for 2 weeks. Luke surprised me with Bora Bora. My blood ran cold. 2 weeks? No warning? I scrolled up, frantically looking for any mention of this trip. Nothing. I typed what? 3 dots. Then, we fly out tomorrow afternoon. This is literally the only time we can go. You'll be fine. Kids love you. Fine? My heart was pounding. I looked around my 1 bedroom. Tiny couch, 1 bathroom, 0 kid-proofing. I pictured 4 small humans tearing through my space while I tried to catch up on sleep. And I wouldn't even be here for most of those 2 weeks. My schedule was packed with long-haul flights, multiple overnights. I typed, I can't. I'm working. I won't even be here. Her reply was instantaneous, like she'd already typed it out. Mom has your spare key. She's letting us in. We'll drop them at your place on the way to the airport. Don't make this a thing. My stomach dropped. They had already decided. My home wasn't mine. It was just another resource for them to exploit. I put my phone down. For the first time in years, I didn't immediately start thinking about how to make it work. Instead, a strange, sharp calm washed over me. I picked up my phone again, a grim smile touching my lips as I saw my reflection in the dark screen. Then, I scrolled to my building's front desk number. Front desk? This is Miguel. Hey, it's Markin 14B, I said, my voice eerily steady even though my heart was hammering. I need to ask you something about the locks. There was a pause. Sure, Mr. Collins. Everything okay? Not yet, I replied. But it will be. I quickly explained. I needed my locks rekeyed first thing in the morning. Under no circumstances was anyone to be let into my apartment without me physically present. Not my mom, not my sister, No one. Miguel was quiet for a beat. Got it, he said finally. Maintenance will be there at 8 a.m. And I'll make a note for all doormen. No access without you. Thank you, I said. I hesitated, then added, my mom may show up saying I approved it. I didn't. He chuckled softly. We see that a lot, Mr. Collins. Don't worry. We'll follow your instructions. After I hung up, the adrenaline hit. My hands were shaking. My phone buzzed again. Mom. I answered. What is this I hear about you refusing to help? She snapped. Not even a hello. Your sister finally gets something nice, and you're going to ruin it? I'm not ruining anything, I said, fighting to keep my voice calm. I have work. I can't take 4 kids for 2 weeks. That's not babysitting. That's parenting. You're exaggerating, she shot back. They'll be in school most of the day. You're barely ever home anyway. What's the difference? The difference is those are my only days to rest. I am home when I'm not on a flight. I can't be responsible for 4 kids alone. It's not safe. She sighed dramatically. I knew this was coming. Money's gotten to your head. You used to be sweet. I let out a harsh laugh. It came out harsher than I intended. I used to be scared, Mom. That's not the same thing. Silence. Then, her voice went ice cold. Listen to me, Mark. We already told the kids they're staying with you. Hannah and Luke have non-refundable tickets. There is no backup plan. So, you will stop this nonsense, and you will be at your apartment tomorrow, and you will open the door. No, I said. The silence on the line was deafening. What did you say? She whispered. I said no. I repeated, louder this time. You don't get to volunteer me for free childcare without asking. You don't get to wave family around like a contract. I didn't agree to this. You ungrateful little, she cut herself off. After everything we've done for you. I almost choked. Everything you've done for me? She barreled on. We supported your dream. We watched you chase the sky. She was doing air quotes. I just knew it. We didn't ask you to pay us back. And now that your sister needs you, you slam the door in her face? I've given Hannah over $20,000 in the last 5 years. I said, my voice shaking now, but holding steady. I have the transfers saved. Rent, bills, van, credit cards. I've taken shifts off to babysit, so you and Dad could go on cruises. I've used my flight benefits to send you on vacations I couldn't afford myself. That's different, she snapped. That's what family does. You didn't have to. You made it very clear I did. I retorted. Every time I hesitated, you called me selfish. You cried. You said the kids would go without food, without school, without Christmas. Do you even hear yourself, Mom? She went silent again. For once, I said, I'm saying no before you back me into a corner. I'm not your emergency fund. I'm not your free nanny. And I'm changing my locks tomorrow. You wouldn't dare, she hissed. Consider this your notice, I said. If you show up at my building with those kids and suitcases, they will not be allowed upstairs. If you leave them there anyway, I will call CPS. Not because I want to hurt you, but because leaving 4 kids in a lobby is neglect. You're threatening me with the government? Her voice went high, hysterical. Over family. I'm protecting myself, I said. And honestly, I'm protecting your kids from your entitlement. She gasped. I hope you enjoy your empty life, Mark. When we're gone, you'll regret this. The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, phone still pressed to my ear, shaking. For a second, the guilt threatened to overwhelm me. I almost called back, almost offered to figure it out, to take unpaid leave, to destroy myself a little more. But then I pictured my tiny apartment, the walls I paid for, the bed I barely slept in, the years of lost time and money I would never get back. And I let the guilt pass. It was time. The next morning, maintenance changed my locks at 8 a.m. sharp. A few hours later, coming back from getting coffee, I saw them. Hannah, Luke, my mom, and all 4 kids. 6 suitcases, standing right there in my lobby in front of Miguel's desk. Hannah's arms were flailing as she yelled. The kids were already whining. Mom was pointing dramatically at the ceiling. Miguel saw me first. His eyes widened just a fraction, then flicked to them. Mark! Hannah shrieked, whirling around. Tell your little guard dog to let us up. He's saying you changed instructions. I did, I said. Her jaw dropped. What is this? Mom demanded. Some kind of performance? Do you want the whole building to see what a cold person you've become? Luke just stood there, quiet, eyes darting nervously between us like a nervous spectator. You were told no, I said, my voice echoing in the marble lobby. You decided that didn't matter. You tried to use a key I gave Mom for emergencies. This is an emergency. Hannah cried. Do you know how much these tickets cost? We already checked out of the house. The kids are excited. You can't do this to us. I felt everyone's eyes on us. The receptionist, a couple in gym clothes, a delivery guy holding an armful of packages. 2 weeks of free childcare is not an emergency. I stated clearly. It's a favor, and I didn't agree to it. Mom stepped forward, eyes blazing. You are shaming your family in public. You put us here, I said quietly. You did this. I pulled out my phone, my hands shaking slightly, and opened my banking app. I scrolled through the transfers. Hannah Collins, over and over again. I turned the screen toward her. This is the last 5 years, I said. Rent, bills, car, vacations, uniforms. You've treated me like a bank with no security questions. That ends today. She glanced at the screen, then scoffed. So what? You want a medal? No, I said. I want you to stop acting like you're entitled to my life. My mom let out a high, bitter laugh. Listen to him. Mr. Pilot thinks he's better than the rest of us. No, I said again. I think I'm equal. That's what bothers you. I turned to Miguel. They're not on my guest list. Please don't let them upstairs. He nodded, face completely neutral. Of course, Mr. Collins. Hannah stared at me like she didn't even recognize me. You're choosing money over your own nieces and nephews, she whispered. I looked at the kids, one picking at a shoelace, another on the verge of tears from the tension. I'm choosing my sanity, I said, and I'm choosing not to be used anymore. You're their parents, not me. Mom shook her head, eyes glossy with angry tears. You're dead to me, she spat. I nodded once. Okay. They stormed out, dragging suitcases and crying kids behind them. I stood in the suddenly quiet lobby. It hurt. No point pretending it didn't. But underneath the hurt, a profound sense of relief began to spread. Like someone had just depressurized the cabin. They went to Bora Bora anyway. I found out via Instagram. Just 3 hours after the lobby showdown, Hannah posted a photo of herself in oversized sunglasses holding a coconut with a little umbrella. Captioned, finally taking time for us #deserved #blessed. The kids? Tag it grandma and grandpa's. So much for no backup plan. I stared at the screen, then I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so utterly predictable. My mom texted me that night. You humiliated us. Your father is furious. The kids are confused. I hope your empty apartment keeps you warm at night. I just put my phone on Do Not Disturb. The next few days were quiet, eerily quiet. No constant buzzing for favors. No guilt-laced, just checking in messages, no requests for money. At first, the silence felt heavy, like I was missing a frequency I'd always tuned into. But then, slowly, it started to feel good. I had my first full day off with nothing to do but exist. I slept in, made a real breakfast, not just airport food. Sat on my balcony with coffee, no one yelling my name. I booked a massage on a whim. When the receptionist told me the price, I flinched, automatically converting it into, that's half a utility bill for Hannah. Then I stopped myself. This was my money from my job, from my body that was constantly jet-lagged and sore. Yeah, that's fine, I said and paid. Afterward, my shoulders felt lighter, but so did something in my chest. The smear campaign started small. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years DM'd me. Hey, what happened with your mom? She posted something kind of vague. I checked Facebook. There it was, one of Mom's long martyrdom posts. Some of us give everything for our children and receive nothing but cruelty in return, she wrote. Imagine raising a son who values money over his own family. Pray for my heart. Hundreds of likes, dozens of sending hugs. You're such a good mom, stay strong. She didn't tag me, but she didn't need to. Everyone knew. For a second, the shame burned hot. Part of me wanted to write a novel-length comment, listing every dollar, every sacrifice. But then I remembered, if there's one thing flying taught me, it's that you can't control the weather, only your response. I closed the app. Over the next few weeks, other things surfaced. My aunt called me, in secret. For what it's worth, she said, I heard what happened. Your mom made it sound like you dumped 4 kids on the sidewalk, but then she let slip that she and your father watched them anyway. She paused. You know, she's been bragging for years that Mark will take care of us when we're old, right? I figured, I said. You did the right thing, she said quietly. I wish I'd done it sooner with my own kids. We talked longer than we had in years. By the end of the call, she admitted she'd been slipping her own adult son money for years and felt trapped. Seeing you say no, she said, it made me think maybe I'm allowed to stop too. Huh, who knew my stand would resonate so far? I started therapy. I've been meaning to for ages, always telling myself I'd do it when my schedule calmed down, which was a joke. I found an online therapist I could see between flights. In our first session, I told her everything. The van, the money, the lobby showdown, Bora Bora. She leaned back. You know this is parentification, right? She said. They've been treating you like a third parent and financial safety net since you were a teenager. I just shrugged. Isn't that just being the oldest? No, she said. It's being exploited. She gave me words I never had. Boundaries, enmeshment, financial abuse. It felt dramatic at first, but the more I talked, the more the pieces clicked into place. At home, small changes added up. I canceled the automatic transfer I'd set up to Hannah every month, just in case. I closed the joint emergency credit card my mom had for the kids. I even changed my will to leave my assets to charity and a couple of friends instead of my parents, something Mom had pressured me into writing when I first started flying. For the first time in years, my savings account actually started to grow. On a rare long stretch of days off, I booked myself a trip. Not as crew, no uniform, no cabin announcements, just a passenger. Somewhere quiet, by the ocean, with no one's needs but my own. I almost felt guilty standing in the boarding line with my own suitcase and no responsibilities. Then I remembered Hannah on that beach with her coconut, captioned #blessed, paid for partly by my generosity. I allowed myself that exact same luxury. Only this time, it wasn't on anyone else's back. Back home, things were shifting with the rest of the family, too. My dad called once. Just once. He cleared his throat, that familiar sound, before saying something uncomfortable. You know your mother is upset, he said. I know, I replied. She says you disrespected her, he added. And Hannah. I waited. Then he surprised me. I also know how much you've helped them, he said quietly. I've seen your name on their bank statements more than once. Silence. I should have said something sooner, he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. I didn't. That's on me. I'm trying, he added, sounding suddenly very old. I don't agree with how that Bora Bora thing went. It wasn't right. It wasn't a full apology. It didn't erase anything, but it was the first time in my entire life my father had ever acknowledged the dynamic. Thanks for saying that, I managed. He didn't push me to make peace. He didn't tell me to apologize. He just let the line sit there, gentler than usual. I hope you're taking care of yourself up there, he said before hanging up. I am, I said. And for once, it was true. Hannah stayed quiet. No texts, no calls, not even a happy birthday, which I knew she'd seen on Facebook. Then about 6 months later, my phone buzzed. Her name, Hannah. Hey, just that. I stared at it for a long time. Then another bubble appeared. I'm not asking for money, she wrote. I exhaled, not realizing I'd been holding my breath. She followed with, I just wanted to say, we found a sitter. We budgeted. It sucked, but we did it. And I shouldn't have tried to dump the kids on you like that. Luke said if anyone tried to do that to us, we'd lose it. I sat down on the edge of my bed. I'm glad you figured it out, I wrote back. You're their parents. You'll find a way. She didn't exactly apologize, but it was the closest she'd ever come to admitting I'd been right to say no. We didn't suddenly become best friends. I didn't start wiring her money again, but the tone had shifted from you owe us to something more level. I realized then that me saying no hadn't destroyed them. It had forced them to finally grow up a little, and it had forced me to finally live my life like it belonged to me. Sometimes on red-eye flights, I still hear my mom's voice, you're dead to me, and my own calm, okay. I was scared that moment would haunt me forever. But therapy made it clear I didn't end my family. I ended my role as their walking wallet. Things are distant now, but they're quiet. Hannah handles her own bills. And that spare key, it's finally, truly mine again. I'm still their son, but now I fly my own plane. I choose where my time and my money land. And that, after all these years, feels like the biggest win of all.